McLaren is running a special one-off livery for this year's Monaco Grand Prix, bringing the iconic Golf colours to Formula 1. As you can see, the MCL 35M will be fully rebranded for one weekend only, as will the drivers' race suits and all team kit, plus the garage and hospitality areas. The rules around F1 liveries are incredibly strict, so we're going to explain how McLaren managed to get this through, why it's doing it, and we'll also look at how F1 can harness what appears to be a growing trend for teams doing this sort of thing with their colours. If lesser seen liveries are up your street, make sure you check out our video on 10 designs that never raced after you've watched this, and if you're not already a subscriber, consider hitting that button to keep up with everything we're doing and to show your support for our channel. The special McLaren livery for Monaco was inspired by the fan response to the announcement of Golf's multi-year partnership with McLaren last July. Some fans even directly asked McLaren CEO Zak Brown on social media to consider a livery change. Fans speculated about the possibility of a revival of the Golf McLaren livery used in sports cars in the mid-1990s, with some even creating their own interpretations of the design for use in F1. Monaco was chosen as the venue to run the livery given it's an iconic race, although there are no plans for it to be used beyond that event. In order to run this livery, McLaren had to seek approval from both the FIA and Formula 1, as well as getting the enthusiastic agreement of the team's many other commercial partners. And driver Lando Norris is even hoping to have a special Golf-inspired helmet to mark the occasion. While teams are usually unwilling to change their liveries given the risk of losing their all-important visual identity, the history between Golf and McLaren makes this a unique case. In 1997, a Golf McLaren F1 finished second in the Le Mans 24 Hours. Although this isn't the start of McLaren changing its livery from race to race, Brown has left the door open to future one-off specials, as well as hoping that it inspires rivals to consider doing the same in the future. And we've got some thoughts on that too. McLaren is the third team in as many years to run a one-off livery, following on from Mercedes and Ferrari running anniversary specials in 2019 and 20. This shows that there is a bit of wriggle room for teams in the regulations, but F1 could take this up a notch to go from it being an opening in the rules to a rule itself, giving teams one Joker livery per season. This isn't a call for F1 to go down the route of IndyCar and NASCAR, where many teams change their colour schemes almost every week, but a Joker rule would give teams an opportunity to draw attention to themselves, celebrate anniversaries, please sponsors, or even support good causes in an eye-catching way. Home race liveries could become a thing, although once you've seen a Williams draped in a Union Jack and a Haas running the stars and stripes, that might become all a bit too A1GP. The teams could make use of this rule to offer better value to their minor sponsors. And in the case of Haas, its NASCAR team has various big name partners that might be interested in appearing in F1 as a one-off at the US Grand Prix or in another key market. We've already seen increased Honda branding on both Red Bull team's cars in 2021, and a full-blown Honda tribute livery, perhaps for the Japanese Grand Prix, would be an incredible way to say goodbye to the manufacturer before it leaves F1 at the end of this year. Retro liveries are an obvious choice. McLaren is acknowledging its Le Mans heritage with the Golf colours that are synonymous with sports car racing rather than F1, but in future, what about a special red and white design to pay tribute to Ayrton Senna in Brazil? It's understood that when Honda came back to F1 with McLaren in 2015, a red and white livery was mocked up, but Ron Dennis never liked the idea of looking back to the past, so he rejected it. McLaren's already shown it's willing to think differently now with its Golf Special and the classic orange colours it brought back to its conventional livery in recent years. The temporary black design we saw from Alpine in the off-season was a tribute to the original Alpine Renault test car that ran in the 1970s before Renault entered F1 in 1977. That's a company with plenty of heritage, and its home race in France would offer an obvious opportunity to splash on some black and yellow paint again. Now Fernando Alonso is back, the more recent history of Team Enstone could be celebrated. We all enjoyed Alonso charging around Abu Dhabi in his screaming V10 title winner from 2005. Perhaps for a future Spanish Grand Prix, he could run those colours again on his current car. Retro stuff is fine in moderation, but it can be overdone. The black and gold Lotus colours returning in 2011 was fun for about 5 minutes, but by 2015, when the team was still running them, did anyone care? One-offs would work better as long as they didn't become predictable. Another great way teams could make use of this rule we're trying to make up would be to draw attention to the many great causes they support. Mercedes took the plunge and committed to a full-time black livery on the eve of the 2020 season to highlight its pledge to improve its commitment to diversity, and we've seen fun ideas such as McLaren's drivers running special helmet designs backing the mental health charity Mind last year. In the past, Red Bull has run special liveries for charity, most notably the white Wings for Life car David Coulthard ran in his short-lived final Grand Prix, and it has twice run cars at the British Grand Prix, covered in the faces of fans to raise money for the cause as well. Red Bull also owns all kinds of different companies it could promote with one-off liveries, and it's clearly seen the marketing benefit of special designs with some of its pre-season paint schemes in recent years. We know Red Bull is keen on keeping its F1 branding consistent, but a rule encouraging one-off designs would surely appeal to such a marketing-driven company. As we've established, one-off liveries are incredibly rare, and we appreciate that creating a rule making them an annual occurrence for each team would take away the scarcity which is part of what makes them special. But 10 livery changes across seasons with more than 20 races would hopefully inject something interesting to look at and talk about through the year and create an interesting opportunity for the teams. So what have we seen in the past? Starting with McLaren, it twice altered its famous red and white colours that it ran for 2 decades, first with a blue version at Long Beach in 1979, and then a special yellow adaptation for Keke Rosberg in Portugal in 1986. We once saw Lotus switch one of its famous black and gold 78 models to red for the Japanese Grand Prix. Ligier ran an art car design for Martin Brundle at the end of 1993, and LaRousse switched green and blue for striking red and white very briefly in 1994. In more recent times, there were movie tie-ups for Jaguar and then Red Bull in Monaco, and BAR adding increasing amounts of blue and yellow to its cars for a run of Chinese Grand Prix in the mid-2000s. BAR was also the only team to properly embrace the closest thing F1 has had to a special liveries rule in the past. Back when teams could run third cars on Fridays at races, the extra car was briefly allowed to run in special paint schemes. BAR ran some fun designs in 2004 for test driver Anthony Davidson, most memorably decking the car out in the full 555 colours, not seen since it was blocked from running its cars in completely different liveries for its debut season in 1999. Ferrari once famously ditched red at the end of 1964, although that was due to a political fallout between Enzo Ferrari and the Italian authorities. It meant John Surtees won the championship in the blue and white colours of US importer North American racing team before the fallout was resolved over the winter and Ferrari returned to red. Would you like to see F1 change its regulations to give teams more chances to run special liveries, or are we talking nonsense and suggesting a change that would stop these one-offs feeling special at all? Let us know in the comments, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and remember to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another video from the race.